It is Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today presented to you by our friends over at Factor. Don't forget to get your Factor question of the weekend by Thursday night so we can make you famous and use it on Friday's show. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. Hi, I'm Chris Rose, producer Dan along for the ride as well. Happy hump day. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, C. Rosie. Just had an interesting Talking Baseball episode. I did an interview with Carl Ravitch. You know, we don't really do interviews on that show, but some scheduling issues have kind of forced us in to get creative. And Carl came out and we talked ball. It was a good time. So a little bit different of a morning, but a good one. And I'm excited to talk about the topics that we have today because there's some fun stuff to go over. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, there's some juicy things. I had to keep adding to the rundown as the night got longer and longer, thanks to what was happening in the middle part of the country and then on the West Coast eventually. But we start off with a little tip of the cap. And part of our job here is to give a little history lesson to some of our younger consumers out there. So I'm going to spin it 43 years ago today to one of the great moments of my Cleveland baseball childhood. Large Lenny Barker threw a perfect game against the Toronto Blue Jays, 3-0. And I've told you this before, but the first 23 years of my life, the then Indians didn't finish higher than fourth in their division. So they were always terrible. But this was the crown jewel moment. Lenny Barker throwing a perfect game. I remember coming home from dinner and watching it. Everybody in the city of Cleveland claims that they were actually at the game, but there were a little more than 3,000 people in old cavernous municipal stadium that were there. I mean, look at this. All the fans are running onto the field as now Guardians announcer Rick Manning snagged the last out. Pretty cool moment from my childhood. So tip of the cap to Lenny Barker.
I love that for you. And I don't know how I feel about everyone coming onto the field. Like in theory, I like it. Like I'm watching it now. I'm like, this is awesome. But I don't know if I'd like it if I was on the field. I don't know if that's ever happened to me.
There's my guy, John Telich, who was a local broadcasting legend in there trying to get a good interview. By the way, very interesting nugget. Which former NBA champion and NBA executive started for the Toronto Blue Jays that day?
Oh, my gosh. Danny Ainge.
Danny Ainge is correct. Very, very good.
I don't know how I knew that. I knew it for some reason. That's weird.
Great. Excellent job on your part. Yeah. So there you go. A little bit of history lesson to get you going on this day. Now let's there was a ton of weirdness. And probably the last thing might be the strangest thing that we saw all evening long. It's the reason I'm donning an Angels cap. I feel for you, right? It's one thing to lose Shohei in the offseason, another thing to lose Mike Trout during the season. And then you thought that maybe the guy who was brought in to keep the ship afloat and to lead a group of men, Ron Washington, has now gone sideways. In a one-run game last night against the Cardinals, bases are loaded and one out, and Luis Guillorme, who was just acquired recently, is asked to lay down a bunt to try and tie the game. It did not happen. The Angels end up losing by a run, and afterward, Wash played the role of bus driver. Beep, beep, beep. We're backing it up.
Why did you want to call for that?
Lefty on lefty. I didn't sink a ball left-hander. I didn't want him to hit into a double play. He can handle the bat. He didn't do the job. It wasn't anything I did wrong. He didn't do the job. He was throwing the ball in the strike zone. Why are you making excuses? He was throwing the ball in the strike zone. He did not get the bunt down. Period.
Okay. Any problem with what the truth teller told us?
Oh, boy. A little bit of a problem with it because that's not an easy baseball play. And I know, hey, he's a big leaguer. You got to be able to handle the bat, like Wash said. But on that particular pitch, you're talking about a suicide squeeze, not a safety squeeze, or else Neto wouldn't have been out. He was coming down the line no matter what. Did Wash not see where that pitch ended up? To be a lefty bunting a slider that's in the right-hander's batter's box, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, it's a very difficult thing to do. Now, I understand maybe the reasoning for it. Like, the Angels are struggling. Like, they're 15-28, I believe, is their record. Like, Wash is looking at the calendar. It's May 15th. He's like, holy, you know what? Like, I got another 4 months of this. Like I think that's starting to settle in a little bit, and he's trying to challenge the players. And hey, man, it's a no excuses type thing. We got to get through this season. We got to try to win baseball games. Like, so I get the sentiment, but as far as the baseball play, like that's a very difficult baseball play. You mentioned lefty ground ball pitcher, which JoJo is. He's like in the 98th percentile in ground ball percentage. So I get the thought process behind it, but I was trying to see like who was on the bench that could have came in. You got Nico Goodrum on the bench. He's a switch hitter. Like we could have had a righty up there in that situation. Now it's not like Guillorme is lighting the world on fire. So you could have made the switch, and Nico can play multiple different positions. So you could have just done that. But as far as saying like he just didn't get the job done, while true in theory he didn't get the job done, try to go do that. That's an almost impossible baseball play to get the job done with when a lefty slider that's in the other batter's box. What are you supposed to do there? It's very, very difficult to put on the bat and the ball. So I know what he's trying to do. I get the sentiment. He's trying to fire the team up. He doesn't want excuses. But at the same time, that's just not – it's not an easy baseball. I actually don't like the baseball play. I'd rather see my guys swing the bat there or make the move, like I said, bring Nico Goodrum in.
Okay, so there's two separate issues here. One, which you have clearly addressed, which is asking a left-hander to bunt against a guy that's thrown a slider into the other batter's box. So there's that part, whether you think it's a good baseball play or not. The other part of this is what he said and how he said it. It was, that guy effed up, and I did not. Do you have any problem with how Ron Washington, who's been around this game for 45 years, presented it?
In that instance, yes. In that instance, yes. And the rest of the time that he spoke to the media, it was we. And then just in that particular sentence, he decided to call out Guillorme and say, I didn't have anything to do with it. The player didn't get the job done. Again, like I know what he's trying to do, but I do feel like it was a little too far.
Well, we talk about guys having leadership, and it's okay to be tough on your players and all that sort of stuff. I mean, Ron Washington's in his 70s, and as I said, he started his major league playing career in the 70s, when guys didn't care what they said. I just wonder if at a time when things are teetering out west anyway with this franchise, if it's not the best way to go about it. I wonder if he wakes up today and he says, if he listens to it again and he goes, that was wrong of me. Does he feel like he's going to get in front of a microphone? Because Ron Washington is a guy who, if you know him at all, he's awesome. He is awesome to have around this game, and I'm so happy he's gotten another bite at the managerial apple. But I feel like, as good a guy as he is, he was off base here. He was wrong, and I would like to see him apologize. I don't know if that's the way it's going to go down today.
We also don't know if there was something going on between him and Guillorme, like after the game. Like maybe they had some words. Maybe there's some context that we don't have in this situation, but I agree with you. I like, if I was Guillorme, I wouldn't be happy with my manager if he came out and said something like that. Like you ask us constantly, hey, this is a team game, let's play together as a team, and then you're going to out me in the media like that. If you want to come say it to my face, come say it to my face, but in the media it's a little bit different. I'm on that side of it as well.
One last point, let's spend 30 seconds on it. Is this the sort of thing that can fracture a locker room even more when the guy in the corner office says something like that publicly and everybody else is looking at each other like, wait, we're all supposed to take responsibility, and that means all of us?
A little bit, but you can move past this pretty quickly. I mean, you spend so much time around each other, like you almost have to get over it. And the main thing for the Angels, if they want the clubhouse to be right and they want, good vibes, you got to go win baseball games.
Okay. All right. Now we move on to a walk-off winner in extras for the Houston Astros at home over the Oakland A's. And what a wild game it was. Mr. No-hitter, Ronel Blanco, tossed in the early going for allegedly having a foreign substance on his person. See you, Ronel. Here's his skipper.
When I grabbed the glove, there was some, the rosin, you're not allowed to use rosin on your non-pitching hand. And that's what it looked like to me. It was a little bit sticky with the moisture and the sweat, but that's what it looked.
And as long as Blanco doesn't have an appeal heard and have it be successful, he's going to be suspended 10 games, not just kicked out of last night's. This isn't the first time we've seen this over the last few years. What is your reaction to it these days? Is it no big deal, or do you look at him and say, cheater, cheater, cheater?
No, I don't do that, and I never did that to the guys before, unless we saw a massive bump in spin rate. We need a couple hundred RPMs upwards in your spin rate to really make a difference in the flight of the ball and to consider it performance enhancing. And if you look at the metrics last night, he wasn't getting that as far as like his baseline to what he was last night. So I've never had a problem with guys using rosin and sweat. It is very sticky. I mean, as a position player, I use it quite often during games as well. It does get sticky, and I want guys to have control of the ball. I want there to be tack on guys' hands as long as it doesn't go over the allotted amount and become a performance enhancing substance, which I don't think it was. And Dallas Braden was on the call for the A's last night. He tweeted some things out saying he thinks it was just sweat and rosin. And if that's the case, then I don't like him getting suspended. And again, we've put these umpires in a very difficult situation. I believe the first base umpire said that was the stickiest substance he's ever felt in the 2 years doing that. I don't know, man. Like, if that's the case, they're going to find it because they're going to test this glove. They're going to find some things out. So maybe we'll get some more information in the coming week or something. But I don't have a problem. I'm not going to sit here and think Ronel Blanco's a cheater because there wasn't an uptick in his stuff. There wasn't an uptick in the RPMs. And that's the only thing that hitters cared about. That we don't want the uptick in stuff. We want pitchers to have control of the baseball. So, like, I'm even good with sunscreen and rosin because that's what you're going to use anyway. Like, as long as we're not seeing those bumps in RPMs, I don't really care about any of it, to be honest with you.
To me, it's a little tough because Ronel Blanco was such a great story at the beginning of the year, right? I mean, a guy who had to fight for survival to make it in this league. And he started to get an opportunity because of injuries to the starting rotation in Houston. And he wowed the world with a no-hitter in the early going. We're like, God, this is such a cool story. And now this is going to be attached to his name from here on out, along with guys like Max Scherzer and Domingo Germán and Caleb Smith and Hector Santiago, who have all been nailed for similar sort of stuff in recent years. For me, it's not that big a deal anymore. To me, the most interesting part is the fan reaction you get, particularly when it involves a Houston Astro, right? Because there's a lot of the baseball world that's going to say, Houston's back up to cheating. Look at what they're doing.
Yeah, Joe's McFly.
And then there's a certain group of Astros fans who are saying, oh, my gosh, did you see that Yamamoto of the Dodgers? They looked at his glove last night, and they were just protecting him because the Dodgers are the golden franchise, and they don't want anything to go wrong, and so they needed to take the shine off of him, so they were intentionally looking for us. So to me, I look for the comedy in all of this in the comments on social media. What does it mean? It means that a banged-up pitching staff is not going to have a guy a couple turns through the rotation. Other than that, I don't see Ronel Blanco as this major cheater to put up there with the 1919 Black Sox. Like, I just don't. No, I don't. And to me, it's not all that big a deal. It just isn't. Is it possible that he lathered up because it's starting to get warm in Houston? Yes, even inside a dome, you can get sticky when you pitch. Guys have told me. And did something seep into his glove during the game? Yes, it's all possible.
Well, your hand's in the glove. Like, it's going to eventually get there, and it's really hard to keep it on just your pitching hand. You pick the rosin bag up. You're constantly touching different parts of your uniform, and I can see how it would get onto the glove or his other hand. Again, I just don't think it's a big deal, especially we have all the data in real time to see what the spin rate is. We could just, if you can call to New York for a replay, you can also call to New York and have them Google something. That's kind of where I'm at on this.
I think that they probably wouldn't understand your request, is my guess.
Maybe.
By the way, you mentioned that the first base umpire, it was Eric Backus who said, quote, it was the stickiest stuff I've felt on a glove since we've been doing this for a few years now. By the way, every umpire, when they toss somebody, is mentioning that. It's the stickiest I've ever seen. So,
gosh, there's a lot of double entendres in this episode. Hump day, sticky stuff. We mentioned some other thing at the beginning too. My goodness.
Right. Large Lenny Barker. Yeah. Guys, it is getting warmer. That means warmer, sunnier days are calling. That means you need fuel to be energized for the summer. And that's where our friends at Factor with no prep, no mess meals will lend a helping hand. They'll help you meet your wellness goals as well with a menu of chef-crafted meals, options like Calorie Smart and Protein Plus and Keto. And the nice thing is they're dietitian approved. They are ready to eat in just 2 minutes. I take a fork, I puncture them, I put them in the microwave for 2 minutes and 2 seconds. I kind of weird that way. And then you're going to have a belly full of food. With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you're always going to have new flavors to explore. From breakfast to dessert, they're going to help you stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. I love it for the middle of the day. You know, I've got something to eat in the morning. We've got dinners at night. But Factor, that's my go-to in the middle of the day. And when I'm waiting for my Factor to hit the house, I open that fridge. I'm like, damn, I'm going to head on over to the pantry and eat crap I shouldn't be. So make sure that you are always loaded up. Head on over to factormeals.com/baseball50. When you use that code baseball50, you're going to get, yes, half off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That is the code baseball50 at factormeals.com. Once again, /baseball50. Get 50% off that first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. I want to go back to the game in Houston, talk about something really good that has been going on all season long for the Oakland A's. We've mentioned him here and there. Mason Miller continued to be baseball's most dominant reliever. He struck out 5 more in 2 innings last night, threw 5 more pitches, at least 102 miles per hour. Now, our buddy Ken Rosenthal from over the Athletic did mention that there's a possibility teams are kicking around, asking Oakland what it would take to pry Mason Miller away. So, I ask you this. Finish this sentence for me. If the A's trade Mason Miller,
they're smart.
Wow.
I think this is a difficult one for me, Chris, because I get it. If you're on the A's, if you're an Oakland fan, it's like we have something here that, you know, there's only 1 or 2 of them in the league right now. Guys that have this kind of stuff who can shut down games. It's over. I'm talking Eric Gagne game over type stuff right now. 18.7 Ks per 9, the 400 ERA plus, the negative FIP. Like he went through the heart of that Astros lineup. Yeah. I'm talking guys that I consider some of the best hitters in the freaking game, Chris, had no chance against him. So I understand this is yours and it's beautiful and you want him on your team. If you're the front office and you're the organization and I don't know if the A's expect to contend within the next couple of years. I know they're playing better ball than we gave them credit for going into the season. So that's nice to have. It seems to me like they are in some sort of rebuilding situation. It's not like and maybe are they ever all in Oakland? Probably not. But I think in saying all that and understanding what he means to the team and the fans that are still rooting for the Oakland A's, I get that. But the relievers in general are so volatile and so up and down, and the shelf life necessarily isn't the longest for that position, that you could get a lot for this guy right now that could really expedite that rebuild. So I think if you're saying, hey, like we got this year, a couple more years in Sacramento, and then in Vegas, we want to like open with a bang there. We want to put like the best team forward and looking at 2027 or whatever it is. I think they'd be smart to trade him because he could demand a lot. Teams really are looking for back of the end guys like this. I can't believe the numbers you're looking at. 18 1/3 innings pitched, 38 Ks, only 5 walks, Chris, 7 hits. It's crazy. So he would command, you know, whatever the A's wanted, a king's ransom, if you will. But I just think if you really look at the organization, I think they would be smart to do it because I believe that is their goal, is to really put together a team for that first year in Las Vegas to really get people excited about it. This would surely help that. And I'm sorry, A's fans, for having that take.
More numbers. I mean, he's been dominant all year, but recently batters are 1 for their last 40. 1 for their last 40 with 30 punch-outs against him.
That's insane.
That is a ridiculous run. So let me finish it here.
Okay.
If the A's trade Mason Miller, They damn well better get a bunch of the top 100 prospects in the Orioles organization and be able to borrow.
Oh, the Orioles.
And be able to borrow their owner, David Rubenstein, for a few years, too. That's how I'm going to finish that.
It's got to be a lot. You're so right, Chris. It has to be a lot.
Yeah. So,
and, trade packages don't always work out, but.
No, they don't. But this is one where I think you're right, in particular because of the volatility of the back end of a bullpen. Like, his worth is not going to be any higher than it is right now.
No.
I mean, this
can't be.
It. Like, you could.
All those years of control, the way he's performing right now.
He's not even a free agent until 30-30. So whatever
30-30, that's 1,000 years from now.
Sorry, 20.
That would be tough on him.
I believe in this guy. That's how much I believe in his guy. I really think he's going to be that good for that long. He's not going to be a free agent until 2030. Sorry, I didn't sleep great last night.
That's wild. Holy.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll still be doing a show in 30-30.
115 is as long as I'm going. I told you that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm going to guess I'm going to tap out a little early.
So you think they should?
Well, yeah, I think
you didn't really answer that.
You've kind of convinced me. I jokingly said that the Orioles would have to throw in their owner in order to make this a real fair deal. But the Orioles, they have a bunch of guys that they keep bringing up and down the AAA to Major League Baseball elevator shaft. They all can't be there. I've told you countless times. And now it looks like the Orioles' most susceptible part of their team might be the way back end of this bullpen. So why don't you go do it? Let's go try and win this freaking thing right now.
This guy puts you over the hump. And that's why I think teams will be willing to give away some of their top prospects, if not two of their top 5 prospects, because he puts them over the hump. We always talk about shortening games, especially in the playoffs. If you're a team, hey, we're going to be in the playoffs this year. We really believe in this team. To be able to steal 3 outs like that, and just those outs are just gone from the other team. You're playing against a team that only gets 24 outs now. Like, that's a huge thing for you.
I think there are several teams that would make sense. Obviously, I mentioned the Orioles. I think the Braves would make tremendous sense. We know about
everyone.
The trade, but where there's realistic.
The Cubs?
Yeah, the Cubs have a great farm system. That would make sense. The Braves with their relationship with the A's.
Oh, my God. Stop it. Don't say that to A's fans, dude.
Just saying.
Oh,
hey, Langoliers just played well.
Yeah, it's true. No, I mean, I get it. They just had a lot of history together. A lot of those guys that they really like to watch over there in Oakland are now playing for the Braves.
Yes. All right. I can't believe this happened again. Let's move on to Detroit. Marlins win a 1-0 extra inning affair against the Tigers. Kudos to both Ryan Weathers and Reese Olson. They were fantastic as the starting pitchers. But more weirdness. The home plate umpire, Ben May, looked into the Marlins dugout. Skip Schumacher didn't say anything, just put his hands up, a la Aaron Boone, but really didn't say anything. So Ben May takes his mask off, throws somebody out over there. Everybody was very confused as Skip is literally saying, who? After the game, he gave us an explanation, at least the one he kind of got from the umpiring crew.
There was a couple low balls that were called strikes that I wasn't really happy about. And I just wanted to let him know that those were balls that were being called strikes. And I think he took, obviously, some offense to it and said, you're out of here, but he didn't pick a guy. So I just asked who, and he said, pick a guy. I wasn't going to pick a guy. So I never really, I was kind of confused on how that worked. So so that was kind of the back and forth on what happened.
The guy eventually picked was the bench coach, who, according to Skip Schumacher, all he did was clap in order to get ejected. Your thoughts, sir?
Okay, so yes, that's a little soft ejection right there. You hear a clap, and that's what causes you to throw something. I don't like that aspect of it. I think, again, that's soft, if you're asking me. But I don't mind that he went and asked Skip, okay, like if it wasn't you, like who should I throw out? Like all we want them to do is get the call right. So like this is essentially them being like, okay, who was it then? And I don't know if the bench coach came up and said, okay, that was me, or like how that all came about. But at least they didn't throw Skip out for not saying anything. Like I don't know. Like again, soft ejection. I can't really defend that, but I'm okay with him then going, okay, well, I messed up. Let's get it right. Who was it that made the sound that I wanted to throw out? Like I don't mind that aspect of it, Chris.
I do. Well, hold on. So you're trying. Well, which one of those criminals was it? Which one was it? If you don't know,
not that. It's not like that. They're not criminals. Like it's just you got to leave the game a little earlier.
I mean, come on. You have to know who's screwing up.
I said it was soft, Chris. I said it was soft, but like he already threw somebody out. I don't know if they can go back on that. At least they tried to get it right. That's all I'm saying.
So now we're reviewing ejections.
I guess, dude.
I mean, are they going to have to have a bat phone to Jimmy O'Brien so that he can figure out which one actually did it? Jimmy,
he's been busy lately with these. He's been real busy with these ejections.
Right.
We're always saying, hey, more stuff needs to be reviewable. And again, this is such a silly instance, and I don't like the toss in general. But if you tossed Skip and he's like, I didn't say anything, at least they were like, okay, well, who did? I don't mind it.
I do. Okay. It's irresponsible because if you're going to ejecting somebody that's an important maneuver. You're either taking a player out of a game, a manager from his job, or a coach. They do something during a game. I don't know what all of them, right? So
Agreed.
We have to treat it as though it's important, or else these people wouldn't have jobs. So if you're going to tell somebody you can't do your job today, you damn well better have a good reason for it. It can't just be, well, I heard it from somebody. Like, is the teacher really going to turn around and have the
They say that all the time. Who said that? Who did that? Of course, that's what they do.
Okay, great. So now we're having Major League Baseball games umpired like a class full of 12-year-olds. Sounds awesome. Does that really sound like it's right?
No, again, I'm going to say it again. I didn't like the ejection in general, but I would rather have them done what they did than to just keep it and say, sorry, Skip, you're out of here.
As Benetti called it during the game, our chat is saying that Jason Benetti was great on it. He used the usual suspects line where they're all lining up. Yeah, that was very, very well done. So
I don't know, man. Like,
I wish this wouldn't happen. I mean,
me too.
And you know what? It's probably more likely to happen now that the summer months are coming and the season gets long and days get hot and everybody gets sweaty and all that sort of stuff. Now, let's just clean it up a little bit. And by the way,
it does seem like we're seeing more ejections than ever and more umpires implementing themselves in games than ever. I don't know if that's true. Maybe I'm just seeing more of it on social media, whatever it is. It feels like it's been a bad start to the year for umpires.
Which but I would agree with you because we've talked about umpiring on this show more in the first 6 weeks than I feel like we have in the first 3 years of this show. And there's times where I don't mind ejections. Like, it's okay. When Ali Marmol came out the other day, he had one thought in mind, and that was to get ejected. And Alan Porter was
Jimmy did a great breakdown of that, by the way. Go check that out if you haven't.
It was excellent. But this one, like I said, it just seemed weird. And Ben May, I don't know much about him. I was kind of sifting through some of his umpiring numbers. Pretty good. Pretty solid behind the plate.
Well, Skip said that after the game. He said the great umpiring crew. We like these guys.
But so did Ali Marmol. He's like, I like Alan Porter and this crew a lot. That was the first thing out of his mouth. So I think those guys know that they need the umpires. So whether they like them or not, they're going to say it.
I rode from U.S. Cellular. I think it's Guaranteed Rate Field down in Chicago. I rode to the airport from there with a guy he's been shuttling MLB umpires back and forth for 20 years. He was dishing out all the tea on these guys, all of it. I wish I could go into it, but honestly, I was like, this guy's telling me these stories right now. Like, what if I was like a reporter? Like, there was some crazy stuff going on. So look out, umpires. Watch what you're saying about these guys.
Love it. Good stuff. All right. Want to talk to you a little bit about MOVA globes, right? Father's Day, not that far away. You're looking for a cool present for Pops or that baseball fan in your life. Go get one of these bad boys right here. It's a rotating globe, okay? It's constantly in motion. It is powered by ambient light. It's got hidden magnets that provide movement, so there's no batteries. There's no messy cords. It's got this cool, I don't know if I trust myself enough to hold it up like this, but I'm trying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, look at the balance. I'm going to represent Team USA MOVA Globes over in Paris 2024.
Yeah, you held that thing so good.
Thank you. They're available in over 40 designs, including sports, world maps, outer space, famous artworks, and much, much more. And as an official baseball partner of MLB, MOVA is proud to present this unique baseball memorabilia, perfect for both the classic baseball collectibles enthusiasts and devoted fans as well. There are a dozen MLB team globes available right now. For those of you out there that are Yankee fans, I just want to let you know it's available. All 30 teams are also coming next month. So enjoy 10% off all the officially licensed MLB MOVA globes when you use the code BT10. That is BT10. Go order your globes now with the link in the description. Sit there. It is very soothing. I can't tell you how many times I have it on my desk. So it'll be spinning around. I just sit there and I'm like, and I can't.
I kind of want the globe one, Chris, if I'm being honest. Globes have always been fascinating to me, that you look at these countries, you're like, that's not a real country. I've never heard of that country before. And maybe that's just the United States. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Bias. Yeah. That's not the word, but yes, something like that.
Something like that. All right. We're going to finish up another rough night for the Giants, right? Lee is going to be out. They're going to get word later this week. It doesn't sound good. It's possibly for the year. Jorge Soler, first batting practice since he ended up on the injured list. Has a swing. It ricochets off the top of the cage and hits him on the head, and he has to go in for treatment. Then they get blown out at home by the Dodgers. The only good thing was that San Francisco sporting legend, the quarterback of your NFC champion San Francisco 49ers, Brock Purdy, came out to throw out the first pitch. And Kyle Harrison, a pitcher, is back there to receive it. You know, starting pitchers get back there. So we're all curious, okay, can Purdy throw a baseball? His pop, Sean, was in the Giants farm system back in the 90s. So he thought, okay, guy's got to have a decent arm. Well, Harrison wasn't ready for it. Yeah, thumbs up. He let it go, and it ricocheted right off of Harrison's mitt. So do we blame the quarterback because it wasn't exactly on target, or Harrison for not getting cross-body there in time?
Lack of communication between the two, it seems like, because Purdy clearly can throw a ball. He can rocket that pill up there. I was a little scared for the photographer right there who's got the lens. She can't see that ball coming at her. That almost hit her. Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, it seems like lack of communication. I don't think Harrison was ready for him to throw. I mean, that was like a good 75 to 80 mile an hour pitch right there. And Harrison was like, what's going on? And Dan, if you could bring the video back up real quick. Look at this vantage point from the catcher's position. It is bright as can be. So like, I almost don't blame Harrison for that either. Look at this.
Oh yeah.
Did you see the ball?
No, but I got
a lot of factors in this: miscommunication, bad backdrop, and Purdy, who, by the way, I respect a lot, even though he's kind of like my QB1's rival.
Yes, he is.
I really like him. He gets a lot of crap, but he's a hell of a player, man.
Why would he get crap? He was the last pick of the draft, and he's gotten his team to the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship.
He does. You know that, Chris. He does.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's misguided hate. Speaking of hate, it was interesting. Did you see him? He was walking out, and he stopped to take a picture with a Giants fan, and then a few feet later, there was a Dodger fan that was like, hey, and he just blew right past him. So is that good? Is that being a good leader for San Francisco sports, or is that being rude?
It is. I was going to hate on this, but you can't. I mean, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's signing for Dodgers fans in San Francisco. No chance. So I think he did exactly what he needed to do right there. The Dodger fan asking for the autograph. Come on, man. Do you really want that autograph? Or are you just there to say, I got Brock Purdy's autograph?
Okay. So keep in mind, tell your boy Stafford the next time you guys are golfing or going on one of those hoity-toity vacations that when he's at a Dodger game and there's a Giants fan, he cannot sign or stop and take a picture. Got it?
Gosh, he's so nice. He might. I don't know. Okay. I'll let him know.
All right. A lot of testosterone in this show. A lot of stuff going on. Don't forget to get your factor question of the week in by Thursday night so we can use it on Friday's show. We are back at it with another live edition Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Thanks, as always, for joining us live in the chat. We'll see you at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time for our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, and the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. We will see you Thursday on Baseball Today, presented to you by Factor. the end, it wasn't my fault. It was his fault. That's got to be in there. But the rest,